Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. That being the special council meeting of Warwick Township Council, January 22nd, 2026 at 3:30. The purpose of the meeting today is the presentation of the proposed 2026 budget for the Township of Warwick. I remind council of disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict. Does anybody have one at this time? No, seeing none. I also want to welcome everybody who's joining us to the YouTube link. And now I'm going to do the acknowledgement of ancestral lands. We acknowledge that the Township of Warwick is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, as well as the many Indigenous nations in Ontario, whose footsteps have marked them for centuries. We also wish to acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 29 and Treaty 25 territories signed by Chippewa chiefs and offer our respect and gratitude for these lands. I'm going to go number 5 on the agenda, if I could, council. Does anybody wish to update the councillor commitment dates at all today? No, very good. And we'll go to councillors' verbal items. I'm going to switch it up. Jerry, I'll start with you. Councillor Westgate.
I have nothing today.
Councillor Morris.
I also have nothing today.
Councillor Manning.
Nothing for me today, thanks.
Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
Nothing for me as well.
I have nothing today as well. So what we'll do is we'll get right into it. We're going to go to number 6 on the agenda. We're going to turn the mic over to Trevor Jarrett, our CAO treasurer, for the presentation of the proposed 2026 budget. Trevor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Case. As per usual, this is the follow-up to the budget that was presented prior to Christmas. First time is just a information given to council. This time we have noted what's changed since that time and made our recommendations, trying to hone in the capital monster of roughly $10 million down to what we can afford in a given year and pushed across what we believe is in our best interest moving forward, but subject to council review. The first slide, there have been 3 changes to O&M spending. Fire and rescue restructuring, there's going to be an additional $10,000 required, $10,500, just through where we anticipate the cost going to go as we've rebranded the fire department from 2 departments into 1. The second one is OPP adjustments. The projected increase came in slightly under of the 11% by $147. However, there is the London Group Police Services Board allocation, doing it off the same allocation basis as the OPP percentage. Our portion, that'll be $4,798. Combined, our cumulative impact of additional costs for OPEX is $15,140. On the capital side, there's been a number of puts and changes of what's been presented, and we'll get to them as we go further, but this is just a high view. The Nauvoo Confederation intersection has come in $80,000 higher than we first budgeted. We budgeted $725. It's coming at $805. We've added a new project for the Brown Jarrett South Branch outlet rehabilitation to start downstream so that we can start fixing the drainage and water course flow throughout the whole village of Waterford on the right side. Catch basin connections has been an ask from our Public Works group, not defined where they're going to go. Carnegie Library Foundation. This is where the good news starts. It was tendered, last council meeting, direction was given to award the tender. It saves us $80,000. The wage study, which we had budgeted at $30,000, the consultant that I've been negotiating with has come back and said they can do it for 10 to 12. So we brought it down by 20,000. The backflow prevention program, last year we only used $10,000. So rather than carry 60,000 there, we're projecting to take 40,000. If it gets used throughout the year, we will come back to council and we will find in operating savings throughout that year ways to further fund it if necessary, but no point doing it any higher. The Sports Hall of Fame signage is a new request from the last time. It was waiting to be priced. There's been multiple quotes come in, and Ryan put forward $5,000. Downtown sidewalk light standard concrete. The consultant came back to complete this project. It is roughly, I believe, 420 per light standard. So there's 10. The park pavilion windscreens out in Warwick Village need to be replaced. $5,000 is what we anticipate that'll cost. And to redo the arena upper hall microphone and projector is $4,500. Taking away from that, we are taking out the no-touch cleaning cart. I'm not going to try pronouncing that first word because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But essentially, that can be deferred at least another year as necessary. And with the CIP grant allocation, we removed the funding for the allocation this year. Based on the level of reserves that we have sitting right now, we should be fine to defer it for a year. Everything said and done, what this does is we came in with a 5% tax increase. And with that tax increase, we're going to be $194,000 short. We're adding another $15,000 in operational costs. Shortfall is still $209,000 now. With that change, we still recommend the 5% open to council suggestion. A 1% tax increase will increase $30,000 in taxes. Will generate it. So 5% cumulative is $156,000. Throughout the year, we had numerous funding requests that came forward. Next slide, please. 2 slides. These are 3 that were asked to be brought back to council for deliberation at budget time. Forest Growing Club, East Lambton Elementary School, and the Watford Girl Guides. So they're for your consideration today. Capital budget notes, basically everything I spoke about report. The net impact is roughly a 60,000 reduction in minor capital requests from the original budget. We've spoke about the additional project, the big one being the Brown Jarrett South Branch outlet rehabilitation for $450,000. Projects that we included on the initial draft of the budget that aren't going forward will then fall back into the backlog and be incorporated into the 20-year capital plan. It'll be brought forward and highlighted next year in conjunction with the roads and facilities tour later so we can prepare for the 2027 budget. The one thing that I have not put in my notes, but should be important, is our 2 largest capital projects that staff are going to recommend are funded through partnerships. One, the Confed Nauvoo intersection is with the county. And the second is Churchill with Brooke Allison. We're coming forward with our budget process earlier than those 2 agencies. So even though that we are going to put some projects back into further years, I don't think it would be a bad idea to have some in an emergent situation. Should be one of those agencies to not approve the budget going forward. That way we don't have to reopen the budget process. Is the whole point being that. Recreation capital projects, year 2 funding is for the ice resurfacer replacement. Delivery date now is targeted for May. Centennial Park Playground received $125,000 in grant funding, and the Watford ball diamond concrete poles, new LED lights and concrete poles for protective netting and lines with a larger insurance claim from 2024 damage. The Watford Library will undergo foundation work as approved last council meeting, and there is more requests for interior improvements and an LED light program, a light replacement program. The Warwick Ballpark will be upgraded, and as I said, new windscreens will be installed there. For the future, 2027 and beyond, new key capital requests, they keep coming in. There will be a new splash pad or a splash pad rehabilitation, park pathway and trail loop, ELCC outdoor kitchen and gathering space improvements, Centennial Park, shelter improvements, and Watford furnace and hot water tank renewals. They're all pushing end of life, and it's time that we have to start getting them on. Going forward also, even though we've got in here the first phase of Churchill. It's a 4-year project. Additional phases will be going in, and we have other rehabilitation projects throughout the township that didn't make the cut, but will be going in for future years and brought forward as they do. As such, next slide. Based on what we're presenting today, the capital that we're gonna request is for minor, just over $1 million, 1,016,000. And for major capital, $4,867,000 for a total of $5,883,000 is our capital request. All that we're gonna do at this point in time is, after we go forward to the next exercise of reviewing capital, if we add capital, if it doesn't go to a merchant list, depending on what happens with the funding partners, any dollar that comes in, we would ask that council look at opportunities to remove dollars so that we are at that position, because our capital budgeting sourcing, which is the next slide, brings in where all the money is coming from. Host revenue fees, 2.8, OCIF formula, 572, gas tax or CCBF, grants of roughly 175, sewer reserves is tied to specific sewer projects. That's tied to a larger grant request that we're still pending. If it doesn't happen, that comes out, but it's specifically tied to the sewer reserve. Water reserves tied to all water projects. Then we also have the tandem funding and the ice resurfacer from prior year, which are in reserves. And then 200,000 from Next Era Community Vibrancy Funding, which goes to complete the playground in Centennial Park. That's where we're planning to bring that fund in. Hydro reserve of $90,000 is our portion of the whole and light renewal at Watford or Centennial Park. The hydro reserve, we're recommending debenturing $175,000 to ourselves to use that money to complete the Warwick playground upgrade or rehabilitation. And then on top of all that, we'd still be taking $260,000 out of general reserves. So at the end of this, the next slide is going to be the capital projects. And then once we go through the rest of the exercise, going tab by tab, is a revisit to the proposed tax rate or any changes council would wish to have to it. Is there any questions at this time?
Just gonna make one comment. I guess it's a question I have, and I'll put it to Kyle. I'm going to this larger sheet here that we've been all given. So on the Confederation Nauvoo project, I had a good conversation with ratepayers the other day, and the question was asked about the infrastructure. Will the infrastructure be in place to put traffic lights up? Is that part of this job, that the underground work that would need to be done? If the council ever got to the point where the county deemed that we have to put traffic lights in, will that infrastructure, that electrical infrastructure, be put in place as part of this project, or is that an extra, Kyle?
Thank you. The underground portion of signalization is included. The actual signalization, poles, lights, anything above ground is not included, battery backup. So to answer your question, yes, the underground portion would be covered with this current estimate.
Okay, so it is in there. I want to throw something at you, but you don't have the numbers perhaps, but what would we be looking at if traffic lights were required there, the counts matched up?
So using a signalization project from a neighboring municipality last year, it came in at approximately 280,000 for that, and we view that as a similar scope of work. So we would be on the hook for 1/4 of that, assuming the vehicle traffic warranted. So approximately 80,000, depending on cost escalations for a year-to-year raise. The county would have to share in a portion as well.
Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it. Trevor, I'll send it back to you unless anybody else has any questions. Councilor Westgate?
Just host fee revenue, we do receive more than that. Is that how much we've been putting in the budget lately?
Pardon me?
Host fee revenue?
Yes, there's a portion of the host fee revenue that goes to paying off the debt servicing and the loans that are presently in place. And this is a remaining portion of it. So that's the portion that we put in, and actually it's increased from last year by $100,000 based on actual.
And last year's budget, do we know how much we're over or under or close to?
Not yet. All the invoices aren't in at this point in time. We're getting close. Which is why the comparison in the budget binder is to 2024 actuals rather than 2025 projected.
Councilor Morris.
Yeah, just one thing, we talked a little bit last night at the rec meeting about the Warwick Playground equipment. I wanted to bring a suggestion forward to council that maybe we throw some money in reserves for this and give Ryan a chance to look for grants. To be able to maybe help fund this like we did the Watford one. It's just, we throw it in reserves, it's there, we can always use it, but not necessarily put it towards that project until Ryan has a chance to do some investigation.
I'm more than fine doing that. I think it's a great idea. Right now, we're gonna borrow from ourselves, but I'd rather take a year or some period of time and scope it. And there are new grant streams that have started to open already. And I know Trillium Foundation has opened, and perhaps that can be worked and have the money earmarked. And again, the same thing, make it basically a bench project. Here's the funding in case you don't get grants.
So just to let everybody know, we are having some technical difficulties just been brought to my attention that that only part of our screen is showing. So when somebody's joining us, such as Mr. Goodhill will be joining us for the fire portion of this, all people are seeing is him. So we don't know what the situation is, but you'll be able to hear the council and hear the discussion. But unfortunately, the picture will not be working unless we can find a way of fixing it. So just so everybody knows. Okay, Trevor, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay, on the large sheet, I would imagine there could be a copy of it brought to the table if possible. I don't know whether it's going to show with the technical difficulties having, but starting at the top, we have what is required. Required is truck 97 replacement. We funded 200,000 last year. We're looking to fund another 200,000 this year to get that vehicle. We expect it to come in roughly 425, but by the time we sell the existing vehicle, we're about even where we're at. So the ice resurfacer contract's in place. It's electronic model coming from Zamboni. The delivery date has been pushed out, I believe, to May, if I'm correct, Ryan. And we need the other 75,000 to fund that for delivery. From the sewer reserve, which is in the gray column, are two projects that are tied to a grant. If the grant is not forthcoming, my recommendation to council is to leave the money parked there. We're still doing work with Aqua to ensure that that is going to be the right project at the right time. Then comes our recommendation of projects after that, starting at the top. And these are by department alphabetically down. This is Public Works, Guy Street, Egremont to London, Kelly Street, Williams to the end, William Street, London to the end, Churchill line sections 01 A, B, and C, which is Forest to Kings Court. That is the largest of the three projects. That one is our portion would be 1,032,000, roughly 1,333,000. The other portion of that would be equally funded from Brook Alvinston. Then is the Nauvoo Confederation intersection. Our portion of that cost is $805,000 of that project. Next big project is one that we spoke about that has been introduced from the budget delivery to now, and that is the Brown Jarrett South Branch Outlet Rehabilitation, 450,000. So those are your public works projects.
Councilor Morris.
Yeah, I guess over to Kyle. I went and checked out Guy Street, Kelly Street and the Williams Street. in Warwick, I didn't think they were too bad. What is are they on our roads report as need to be done, or what's the thought there?
They were listed on our last road report as needing resurfacing, so they were selected based on not needing any underground infrastructure. It's purely a road surfacing project, so there isn't additional costs to do below ground infrastructure. So there was multiple streets that were identified to need resurfacing. These were three that were identified that didn't have any additional underground works required for them.
Thank you.
Counselor Manning.
Yes, I had a question regarding some of those streets too. I believe it's Kelly and William Street are connected at the T intersection there. If they're approved, if we approve both of these, when you put out the RFQ, if you put that into one tender package, wouldn't that possibly lower the quotes coming in? Put it as one big project?
Yes, the intent would be to put all three together in a single tender. Yeah.
Anyone else at this time? No? Okay, go ahead, Trevor.
Next section is Parks and Recreation. The first one is Carnegie Library Foundation. That was approved at the January 12th council meeting. The lowest tender bid was acknowledged, and they have, I believe, started mobilizing, getting ready to start doing that work as soon as possible. Next is Centennial Park project is Centennial Park Accessible Playground project is $325,000. We've received a grant for $125,000 from an accessibility grant, and $200,000 we are recommending we pull from the NextEra Community Vibrancy Reserve, which will be sitting at the end of this year at roughly $290,000. Then the next project that we have there is the Warwick Ballpark Playground, 175. Personally, I like Councilor Morris's recommendation, but it's in there for now. Then we also have in there the Watford Ball Diamond concrete poles, new LED lighting and concrete poles for protective netting. Again, that was part of a larger insurance claim due to failure that happened in 2024. This replaces everything, gets them to the same standard, and our portion would be $90,000. We're taking it from the hydro reserve. Are there any questions on those?
Not at this time. Yeah, Councilor Morrison.
So I made that recommendation about Warwick Ballpark. Do we need a motion to do that? Then I'd like to make a motion that we put that money into reserves and give Ryan a chance to get a grant.
So those dollars that Trevor was speaking about are in reserves already, that he was going to take them out of the hydro reserve. So we already have that money in reserves now. So it's not like it's not a tax issue for the ratepayers or anything. It was coming out of the hydro reserve, for which that's where our dividend checks go from Blue Water Power. So there's about $660,000 approximately in that fund. So that's where that money was coming from. So there is a motion on the table. Is there a seconder to that motion? Councilor Manning. Any further discussion on that particular motion? Okay, call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Sure.
Thank you. Next, we have two fire projects that we've recommended. One is just general station upgrades. We've rebranded the fire departments this year. There's going to be some work to do on the halls to make it more accessible for everyone. So there's $75,000 for the Watford station, and then we also have $30,000 for the Warwick station. That's primarily for a storage building. When everyone was there when we did the facilities tour, we saw the shape of that building, and it's in necessary need of repair.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Have we lost Mr. Goodhill?
No.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions on those last two projects to do with the fire building or anything? Okay, very good. Thank you. Trevor?
Okay, now I'm going to go into the minor capital. This is basically pulled from everything. General government, there's three projects that have been recommended. Computers, $15,000. Those are basically one computer replacement that is necessary here and iPads that will be used for the election coming up in the fall and then turned over to the incoming council. SharePoint migration, we are in a process of going from a static server to a cloud-based system. And this is the next phase to continue to roll into that project. And then there is the wage study, which started at 30. We've got it down to 10,000 by working with a consultant. A lot of the work and the resources will be also drawn upon our staff here in order to make that the way it is. Fire and rescue. There are 4 projects that are put forward for minor capital: boots for 12,000, bunker gear for 20,000, a drone for 20,000, and hydraulic extraction ram for $15,000.
Anybody have any questions on the fire stuff? We do have Mr. Goodhill with us. Councillor Morris, please.
Yeah, Brad, I guess I'm asking about the drone. How badly do we need it? And are you gonna get something that's gonna do the job for 20,000?
Yeah, so I've looked into pricing and 20,000.
Do we have, can you hear me, Mr. Goodhill?
Yep. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Maybe we should put some money in the budget for a new system.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Brad?
Yep.
We can't hear you.
Oh. Hang on.
Brad, can you hear us?
I'm gonna
Okay,
put it in
go
the
ahead,
chat.
Brad.
Can you hear me?
Barely. We're gonna try to adjust the volume here if we could.
Or is that better?
That's great. Thank you, Brad. Floor is
Okay.
yours.
Okay. There. Yes, so that value should cover everything that we need to do and allow to have a little excess for training as well on it. It's become a safety feature anymore. We've had several calls in the last year that where we've used one. Landfill is especially. We've also had a large fire at one farm property where we were able to access the view of it much better and be able to direct the water to it. We've had a car accident where the vehicle landed in water, which we are not certified for water rescue. However, we borrowed a drone quickly to check for actually children out of the car into the water. So it is a health and safety thing. It's something that could also be used by the rest of the municipality, Public Works or Parks and Rec if it was needed to be something looked at. It would be perfect out there for your lagoons and so on if you're looking at anything like that. So it is, I deem it an important project.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Goodhill. Anybody else? Okay, Trevor, I'll turn it back to you.
Next section are roadways. In there, we have, I think, 5 projects. First one is municipal drains. That's an increase. Historically, we've carried 100,000. We're seeing 100,000 is not covering our portion of it, and so we've increased it to 150. Sidewalk replacement is up 5,000 to 25. Miscellaneous paving, 35. Historically, that money, even though we've had dedicated to one or the other, I've worked with the manager of the department. So long as they don't go over the 60,000, I really don't care. They just want to keep it in that target range. They will try to march it out to the best use of the dollars.
Sorry to interrupt for it. I know that Brad is away at a conference right now. Is there anything else, Trevor, that we need Brad for, or can we cut him loose at this time?
I'd like Brad to stick around for the go through of the tabs, particularly for protection.
Yeah, no problem. I got time.
Maybe when we're done this, then we can go right to fire. Very good. Thank you.
We also have a road study and kit. The kit allows us to do a little bit more of the study in-house. So it's a one-year cost, but then it allows us to, and we can rent it out to neighboring municipalities to recover those costs. And finally, there's a storm, water and wastewater rate study. It's time it's due. We haven't had a wastewater rate study ever, but with the nature of the world, it's something that's recommended. There'll be findings come out of it that'll be presented for council for their consideration. Any questions on the roadways projects? Environmental, water and sewer, these are all recommended through our administrator, Aqua. Booster pump, motor replacement, fire flow testing and painting, hydraulic maintenance, hydrant maintenance, parts inventory, meter replacement program, which we do through Blue Water Power. And then we also have a valve maintenance of 31,000. Water servicing study that was approved as requested during the December 9th budget presentation, and we've got to start on that. For sewer, we have Alum system maintenance, collection system, CCTV and flushing, collective system repairs based on what we find during the CCTVing and flushing, and then fluid head maintenance, lab equipment, pump rebuilds. We need to make sure our spare is current, and that's one I'd probably fight for most out of all of them. Then we also have weed spraying, and we still have the $20,000. And for backflow, as I said, it came down from 60. We will monitor it throughout the year, and if I have to come back through to council halfway through the year, I will argue, okay, we've found money in this budget or that budget to then top it up as necessary. Those are the environmental projects recommended.
Any questions, council? On those items, Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
The weed spraying, is that just the chemical or is that hiring a company to do it as well?
That includes hiring the company to do it as well. They've came in under budget every year.
Recreation, there are a dozen projects, I believe, starting with the ammonia leak detector system. That's a health and safety concern. It's got audio and visual strobe lights for the safety of our workers and staff. And then we also have an emergency light battery pack. We have fitness equipment reserved to put away. We have the Sports Hall of Fame signage for 5,000. Downtown sidewalk light standard concrete. Memorial Gardens work. It's a partnership with the Horticultural Society. The Park Pavilion windscreens, 5,000. Wireless microphone and wireless projector HDMI for the arena upper hall. And then we have miscellaneous library upstairs ceiling and LED light replacements and library interior improvements. And finally, a installation of a new combi tank, but there's more of a story of that. That's for 5,500. Last week, I gave Ryan the go-ahead on an emergent situation whereby the hot water boiler system went down. Combi was part of it. Couldn't get parts for it as an aged system. So the total cost is 11,000. 5,500 was covered under this request. So the emergent part of it was another additional 5,500. Are there any questions on recreation?
Deputy Mayor Kallenberg.
The lighting in the library, I believe there's some grants out now if you updating your lighting. I don't know if that's been included in that.
I'll start. We've started to reach out through Blue Water Power with Matt DeCosta. Ryan's been doing that work. Anything that will be found will then go back into reserves if there are savings.
Councilor Morris.
Yeah, I guess I have a question on the Memorial Garden, the partnership with the Horticultural Society. What exactly are they going to do?
Yes, thank you. So that's the water fountain garden project in Memorial Park. across from the ELCC. It's essentially a redo of that whole area, stripping it right back, new plant material, new trees, new pathway, a new water fountain feature, new pump. So it's sort of an all expansive, new revitalized garden. And yeah, as mentioned, and as Trevor mentioned, that project is in partnership, matching dollars with the Horticulture Society, who are doing all the heavy lifting on the design and procurement.
One more quick question, Ryan. The Sports Hall of Fame walk, or the Sports Wall of Fame signage. Now, we talked about it last night at the rec meeting. I wondered if you could give us a little more detail so everybody understands what it's gonna look like or should look like.
Yes, thank you. So this wall will take place, it'll be in the ELCC corridor across from the YMCA. It's going to house the plaques and honorees for community builders, athletes, and teams. We've had some design work done by a local company. We've reviewed some of the options, and we did so last night at our Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. We had some options to consider. I think we have some pretty nice high-end options that will look really good for a long time, which kind of is the goal. We want to honor these people with a well respective wall. I think the design will look good. We had some quotes in the 5,000 range. The group discussed and really liked the option that's pushing more towards the $8,000 to $9,000 range. They did make a recommendation that I pursue that design at last night's meeting. So that would result in a slight increase to this this minor capital project should council wish to do so. Councilor Morris was the chair on the Parks and Recreation Committee. He could probably provide a little bit more information to that as well. But I think the design that the group chose is really nice, and I think it will look really good in the ELCC for a long time to come.
Councilor Morris, please.
Yeah, to follow up on that, we did talk about it last night. We came up with the option, I believe it was around 9,000 instead of 5,000. This is the wall right across from the YMCA, that big stretch between the doors. One thing I don't want it to look like is cheap. The $5,000 shows $5,000 worth. The $9,000 is very, very nice. Gives us room for expansion. I would like to see us increase that to 9,000.
Okay, so would you mind making a motion, Council?
I will make a motion to increase the get this right here. Sports Wall of Fame signage from 5,000 to 9,000.
Thank you, sir. Is there a seconder to that motion? Deputy Mayor Kallenberg is seconding that motion. Further discussion, council, if any? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Trevor?
Two remaining projects on here for minor is, the first one is the Economic Development Strategic Plan refresh. I believe the current plan that we have is approaching 20 years. It's well past. It's tied into a grant application we have with ROD. If we get the ROD funding, great, we'll go forward with it. If not, we will pull it back. And the last project we have in here was approved at the budget delivery on December 9th, and that is a website migration because our current website is come to end of life and we found a solution. We have $25,000 in there. I believe we can scope that back to probably 20,000 comfortably to find the extra money for the Wall of Fame signage based on the contract that we have now entered.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that, council? Okay, very good. Okay, Trevor, continue, please.
That is what I have for capital, minor capital. The next section I take a look at, to respect to Captain Goodhill, or Chief Goodhill, sorry, would be going into tab 4, protection of the budget binder. And I will ask council if they have any questions or require any clarifications there.
Just one clarification from here out the bat. Brad's new title. What exactly is Brad's new title, just so everybody in the public knows, if you wouldn't mind, please?
Brad is the Director of Emergency and Fire Services for Warwick Fire and Rescue. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're close.
Thank you. I know we all know it, but the public doesn't maybe perhaps know that yet, so I thought I wanted to clarify that. So I'll turn it back to you, Trevor. Thank you.
Okay, again, in this section, we have Protection General, which is our tab 4. So it's going to be bylaw, cross guards, emergency coordinator, fire, our OPP contract, and items of that nature. Are there any questions from council that they would like?
We're not in tab 4. I think maybe perhaps we're going.
You gotta keep going.
Tab 4, tab number 4.
That's the end of tab 4.
Very good. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the director? Really a chance to get up to speed? Any
We'll say
questions?
something on behalf of
Please.
the director. We've combined the budgets from the individual fire stations that were there before. And we've also put in a few extra dollars for actuals based on what happened. I believe it is $23,000. We're sitting with a fire reserve for general of roughly $80,000. We're going to have a couple of years. We're going to be right sizing it based upon the complement and the new branding going forward. Any overages that we have this year, we will draw from the reserve we have. And any underage will go in to build that reserve for years where there's heavier impact. It's triggered by the amount of calls that we get primarily. Practices are always going to be there. It's a necessary evil, but the number of calls dictates the cost changes and variance per year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yes, Councilor Morris.
Yeah, Brad, under caretaker, is that for both halls?
No, that'll only be for the Watford station. And at this point, we do not have a caretaker at the Warwick station. It may be something in the future that we may have to go to, but at this exact time, we only have the Watford station.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Looking at training, is 18.5 good number? Well, the guys are doing a lot of training lately.
Yeah, and we're gonna use all of that, and with the certification that is coming down from the province that is due by July of 2026. You're right, Deputy Mayor, we do have a lot of training going on and we have a lot more to go. So we will use all of that. There is potential that we could dip into some of these reserves as well, or pull from another account within the budget to offset. But yeah, the certification is big, and we have to keep moving forward with it.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions thus far? Seeing none, I'll ask you to continue, Trevor.
Okay, I think Chief Goodhill can make bail.
I can hang in for a few minutes, and if I go off and leave, then if something comes up, just send me a text message and I'll come back on.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to go back to tab 3, which is general government, which includes basically anything that's in general government, including the fact that we've introduced a tab this year that hasn't been there the last 3 years with a budget. In the past years, we've just had a maintenance contract that's for the election. So this year you will see that there is actually a hard budget for it. That'll be drawn from a reserve that we do every year. We put away 7,500, and then we draw it down during the election year, so we don't have to then basically create a 1% tax increase just for an election.
Questions on that? Seeing none. Okay, continue, please.
Next section is tab 5, which is Public Works. Essentially in there, there has been an increase overall of roughly 10% from 2025 budget. What we do is we look at the 5-year period prior to see where the costs are trending and scope it up or down based upon that. We went through a couple of really nice mild winter years in 2020, 2021, 2022. The last couple of years, including this year, have not been too friendly. So that's why you've seen that primarily scope up, just for that reason.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? No? Please continue, Trevor.
Tab 6 is environment, which includes basically environment section, which is all associated landfill and landfill collection costs and revenue. Then we also have sewage and water in this section. Sewer and water have a rate schedule that they go up 5% per year based on the last rate study that we're looking to renew this year. And that's where those costs are coming in at.
Does anybody have any questions on this particular tab? Yes, Councilor Morris.
Yeah, I've been asked by two businesses now, recycling's gone to every 2 weeks.
Correct, it has.
Will they see a reduction in their tax bill? Will our revenue drop because of that? Or are they gonna pay the same for only having it every other week?
To be honest, I believe it's going to remain the same.
Really just the whole system has changed. The provincial government has changed the regulations around recycling. So a lot of it really is out of our hands, to be very honest with you. It's provincially regulated and mandated. And those are some of the changes. And I do sit on the board of Blue Water Recycling Association, and that's the way I understand it to be. It's really been taken out of our hands many, many ways. And it's more of a producer pay type situation. And there's been some changes, and some of those changes, to be very honest with you, haven't been good ones. But I think that that's the correct response that Trevor's given.
Next tab is health services, which is the cemetery account. Pretty self-explanatory. It's holding true what it was last year, and we can go from there.
Questions on that tab? Yes, Councilor Morris.
Sorry for having all these questions. Trevor, under cemetery decoration, you have down 0. We usually bring in for decoration day service, a income there. It's not included?
Under which section?
I think I'm on the right one. Department 0299 cemetery.
Yes.
Okay, under 26 budget donations, you have $0 in.
Yes, we don't budget for donations. They'd be in addition to it. Again, it's a conservative approach of accounting. You don't count what you don't have.
Okay, anybody else have any questions on this tab? Seeing no, okay, please continue, Trevor.
Next tab is Parks and Recreation. In the past couple of years, we've right-sized coming on with the ELCC. We've increased staff complement based on the needs and requests of the community in order to provide the level of service that's been provided, and it's all incorporated in here. We've also consolidated budgets. We used to have separate budget for soccer and I believe a park, and I can't remember what it was, Ryan, but we've now consolidated all under the general budget. Are there any questions?
Any questions on that? Councilor Morris?
Yeah, again, we talked, Councilor Westgate brought it up, I think, a while back about increasing the user fees for the Warwick Park and the Watford Park. But I don't see any increase on the budget for revenue.
That report hasn't come to council for approval at this point in time. What we had done is increase the ice fees last year, and you will see an increase in the ice rentals for that reason. But that report will be coming this year for consideration, and then you will have a positive variance once it gets put in.
Okay, anybody else? have any questions in this particular tab? Anything to do with the labor or any of that? No? Okay, Trevor?
And the next tab is planning and development, which is basically our planning general, drainage, and community improvement and development. Are there any?
Anyone? Everybody a chance to catch up? Tab 9? Okay, tab 9. And we can always go back. Somebody finds there's something that we've missed. I know I already want to go back and talk about one thing myself. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I guess on the Parks and Rec, did we get a grant for students last year?
Brian, I don't believe we did. We've reapplied this year. Again, we do not budget on the conservative side of things for getting students. If we get them, then again, it creates a positive variance that will be, goes back into general reserves at the end of the year.
What we're going to do is we're going to advocate with our new MP. We haven't received grants for quite some time, and we are going to have a chat with Marilyn Gladue to see if she can help push us across the line on this. To be very honest with you, it's been very disappointing the last few years where we received nothing when the grant request was made, and some of our neighbors and surrounding communities were getting grants. So we're going to follow up on that. So I'm glad you brought that up, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else have any questions on this tab? We are on tab, I believe. We're on tab 9 now. Very good. Okay, Trevor, please.
And the last tab is the lighting for Warwick Lights and Watford Lights.
Okay, questions on that? It's been explained where the money would be coming from, partly insurance and then partly through the some of the grants that we have, such as the hydro reserve and the windmill reserve as well. Am I correct?
Correct. That's where we will be pulling from, except for the ones that are specifically tied to water and sewer. We pull from those grants specifically because that's how we're legislated that we can. And again, if we don't get a grant that we've applied to, the 2 large sewer projects will be removed.
Yes, everybody understands that. Very good. Any questions? Very good. Trevor, please continue.
That concludes my portion of everything that I have at this point in time. We're open to council questions, comments, and anything else, please feel free to address.
Okay, council, who would like to get the ball starting? I know we've talked about each tab. Trevor's laid out a nice spreadsheet for us where a lot of these dollars would be coming from. Does anybody have any specific questions about any of the tabs or anything else when it comes to running the municipality from a financial standpoint at this time? Deputy Mayor.
In the reserves tab, you've got it dated December 31st, 24. Is that correct?
That's correct. We haven't finished the 2025 year, so I can anticipate where certain ones are going at this point in time. I can't predict where some more.
Okay. It is good to see that we do have a healthy amount of reserves, which is nice to see. That's not always the case in other places. We've been drawing them down at the county of Lambton at a pretty rapid rate. We just had our budget presentation yesterday, and it was good to see there was another $5 million reserves. We're going in the right direction at the county. Reserves is something we need to protect the municipalities, everybody knows. Anybody have anything else that they want to bring up today? Councilor Morris.
Yeah, Trevor, in our first presentation, you mentioned water and sewage rates going up 5%. Have we finalized that now?
They will, that is gone through, and I believe the report came to council in December.
Okay. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor.
Just confirming the township debt is dated December 31st, 25. That is current date.
Correct.
Very good. So I guess in the one portion, I was talking to the Deputy Mayor about the amount of money in there for students, and I think the whole hope there is that with that money in the budget, that it'll help with maybe covering some extra costs through labor costs through overtime and stuff like that. I don't know if Deputy Mayor, you want to touch on that, or Trevor, did you want to touch? The Deputy Mayor and I were talking about that earlier. Trevor?
Yeah, in Q4, I can't remember which council meeting, Ryan came forward with a request for additional students that allows them more flexibility. We've had, problems with late bookings and items like that, whereby if we bring in our staff at the last minute, we're paying them overtime. This will give more flexibility. That flexibility should in turn bring down our overtime costs. I haven't done anything here. I've just added the costs in for the additional staff and complement, but I haven't reduced the overtime. In fairness, the idea is it's going to bring it down. To the question of what tune, I can't tell you, but it is an area whereby there is some flexibility.
Okay, I know the deputy mayor and I were talking about it earlier. Is this something that it would be substantial enough that we should put a figure to it? We are looking obviously to have a good solid budget here, but if there's a savings of $40,000 or $50,000, maybe I'm high on that number. I think we should take a look at, obviously, that's what we're doing here is the due diligence on the budget. So I'll ask that question to you, Trevor, and if you want to bring Ryan into it, that's fine too.
I'm not going to put words in Ryan's mouth, but I definitely think it's something that is, you can quantify an expectation. The expectation is going to be met or it's not going to be met. And at the end of the year, we'll have a variance that we have to explain. I think the lower number there would be very reasonable, which in turn would allow council to then perhaps offer a lower tax rate. If that is the question, I think 40 is comfortable. I think 50 is going to really be a pinch point for Ryan, but it's his department to manage.
Well, again, the hope is that we don't run into what we have run into previously with lots of overtime costs that drives up the department's costs on labor. So I know that's the method to the madness, if I can put it that way. So I think it might be appropriate to at least maybe take some of those dollars out of the budget. If you feel comfortable with that. Ryan, I'll ask you too, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it is your budget.
Yes, thank you. Just further to Trevor's point, I think putting a number to it is fine. I think there will be some savings there and we can certainly quantify that and qualify that by adding a number into this budget now. It will give us something to shoot towards as well. I think apart from the students as well, the part-time and casual staff position, that just offers us some more flexibility to offset those times in the evenings and the weekends when and just gives us an extra body. If we don't have the body, someone to drive a Zamboni, for example, that does result in our full-time operators coming in on extra time to fulfill those shifts. But having the casual staff, having just a couple extra bodies to fill in the same chunk of hours, but the extra bodies to do that will certainly help on the overtime and certainly result in some savings.
Okay, well, thank you. So basically 1% tax increase is $30,000 in the township of Warwick. So what I think we could do in listening to Ryan and listening to Trevor and John's conversation with me earlier, I wonder if we could look at a $30,000 reduction. Again, there's possibilities for more, but to keep it of a little bit of flexibility for Ryan. Again, the goal here is not to get into those extra costs and overtime. And that's, I thank you guys for doing this because we don't want to continue to run into this. And by having the extra body, the part-time staff and the students getting to work a full amount of labor, 35 hours a week or something instead of 15, 18, 20. I think that's what's happening before. So I guess my suggestion to the council, how does council feel about maybe potentially decreasing it by $30,000? Mayor?
I think we should propose that. I'll make a motion.
Seconded by Councilor Morris. Any further discussion on that, council? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you.
In light of that, would it also be a recommendation to reduce the request for rate increase from 5 to 4? That's where I wanted to find out.
Okay, I appreciate that. We do have a few other things that we need to go back. We did have a few requests. There was 3 requests that were made to us. There's one from the East Lambton School for some funding without a number attached to it. There was also the Forest Curling Club that was requesting $20,000 from us as well. And there was another one. If I find my page here, I could find it quick enough, but we didn't. The Grow Guides are looking for an increase of $500 from their $1,000 grant to $1,500. we have talked about that one in the past. So I guess maybe I'll take us to the discussion around the Forest Curling Club. Mr. Shea came and Mr. Parker made a presentation. And all I'm going to say is that we've had a really good relationship with Lambton Shores. They supported our new hall. We supported their arena. They supported Tax Andrea Soccer. It's really been a good back and forth between the two communities. And I think that's been positive. But again, in saying that, they made a good presentation, but it's something we have to wrap ourselves around here as a council, what we want to do. So the request was for $20,000. How does council wish to deal with that request at this particular time? Councilor Morris.
Where would that money come from, Trevor?
Trevor?
We have an amount built into the budget whereby we fund on a certain annual basis. And there is a sundry amount in there. This will come from the sundry amount that hasn't been allocated at this point in time.
Councilor Manning.
Yeah, if you could refresh my memory on the presentation, even if they had mentioned this, but was there a timeline on this? And if so, do we know how long that was? Is this something we could stretch over a couple of years possible?
It's definitely something that could stretch over a couple of years. They're on borrowed time with their existing ice facility, but I believe if there is a commitment made over a couple of years, they'd be appreciative of it. They're going to commence work as soon as they have enough funding in place.
Anybody else? Yes, Councilor Westgate.
It's only 20,000. I think we could afford it in 1 year. And we do have people from our community using that facility, and we do not have a facility like that in town. So I think we should go ahead and support the curling club over there. And like Todd says, they have supported us in our endeavors too.
Do I take that as a motion, Councilor Westgate?
Yes, you can.
We have a seconder. Councilor Manning, you're seconding that? Thank you. Further discussion at all? Very good. Call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So we've just added $20,000 back in. Am I correct? Or are we going to do that from another reserve, Trevor?
That comes from an unallocated sundry account that's in the reserve.
Very good.
So we're okay. We haven't added dollars yet.
Big clear. Thank you. Appreciate that. So East Lambton Elementary School has been working on their playground rehabilitation now for over a year. And anyways, their request to us was just basically asking us for a donation of any kind. It's been a long time since we've donated to any organization like this. We went back and looked at the history. But at the same time, it's another worthy cause in our community. So anyways, it's here for our consideration. So there's no amount attached to this. Suzanne Thorne sent this out. And I guess they're just wondering if council was looking to make a donation or not. And I guess that's the next topic of conversation. Does anybody wish to speak to this at all or make any suggestions? Councilor Morris.
I think we should donate some money to them. I think we have to keep in mind that we're spending $350,000 on a playground accessibility, which is right next door to them, that I'm sure that they can use during the school hours. So I think we have to keep that in a bit of a thought in our mind.
I know there's liabilities surrounding everything they do nowadays, and I think it's one of those things they need to have something on their own property. I think you're right, though. It's something back in the old days, if I can put it that way, that something would automatically happen. But no, I also would like to support them in some way. And because they haven't put an amount to it, I mean, they're just looking for any kind of donation. I know the campaign continues for what they're trying to do. I know a lot of us locally have already donated and bought tickets on their fundraiser last year. I know the office had them too. Anybody have any suggestions on an amount, if that's where you want to go, just to keep things rolling here? Are we looking at maybe $1,000, $1,500, something like that? Councilor Morris?
Yeah, Trevor, how much we got in that account that has not been allocated yet?
The sundry is at $8,000. So like, well, there's play, but with the 20,000 coming out, we're now encroaching on it.
Councilor Westgate.
Before, when we donated money to the schools, we donated money to both schools in town. It's very important. We have the schools in town. If we do one, do we need to support the other school too with the roughly the same amount like we have in previous occasions?
So what we could do, there's been no request from St. Peter Canisius. But what we can do is, if, as long as that allocation, and I think there's a little bit of room there. So if we were to give, approve, say, $1,000 grant, to East Lambton, we could make sure we had kept enough room that if St. Peter's came forward and asked us the same, we could do the equal amount of money, but there's been no request for the budget process. So that's the only thing there. There would have to be a request, but that's something we could be open-minded to. It's not a lot of money. And I think that that's easy enough for us to take a look at if a request comes. So how would you like to deal with it, council, if you'd like to deal with it at all? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion. We donate $1,000 to East Lambton Elementary School.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Westgate is seconding that. Any further discussion on that one, council? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And then we have the Watford Grill guys, and they are part of our regular allocated organizations that we fund every year. The difference this year is they've asked for an additional $500 from the $1,000. So they've asked for an additional $500 to help cover their costs and some of the things they're doing. Very appreciative of the grant that we put in place about 4 years ago. And this is just asking for another $500. Am I missing anything on that one, Trevor?
No, I've been here 9 years. This is the ninth budget I've delivered. It's always been $1,000. I know full that my $1,000 9 years ago isn't worth $1,000 today. I think it's a very reasonable request. In respect to them doing it, we also give $1,000 to the scouts. We reached out to them. We haven't heard anything back at this time. But we reached out just to do our homework.
Okay. How would council like to deal with this request? Councilor Morse.
Have they said why they want the extra money or what it's going for?
They do one overnight camp per year. And this is a cost that is basically going to do that and provide for the guides to go there. Yeah, the costs have gone up substantially on that.
And I make the motion, we increase it to 1,500 from 1,000 to the Girl Guides.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Yes, clerk, clarification?
Just want to clarify if that's just for this year or ongoing.
Good question. So it's regularly it's 1,000. So this is a one-time thing according to your motion to up it to 1,500. So if they wanted to get 1,500, they would have to come back and ask for the additional 500 again next year. Very good. Everybody's clear on that? Do we have a seconder to that motion? Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, Trevor, is there anything else we need to circle back on that maybe I'm not seeing at this time?
I believe that's everything that staff has at this time to present and all the items that we needed some sort of discussion decision on. Thank you very much.
Okay, one of the questions I have is we've in this last term, we bought a lot of iron, which we needed desperately. I know the new emergency fire vehicle is coming. We've got that covered. Am I correct?
Correct.
That's covered. So that was we put some money in reserves and we saved a little bit of money on the Watford Fire Hall repair. And my only concern is going forward, and I know Chief Goodhill was, Director Goodhill was with us not that long ago, and he's probably not now, but I just want to make sure that we feel comfortable with the amount of reserves that we have, because when this first term at council, there wasn't much in that reserve account, and we do know there's some other pressures coming up. I also know that we've made some changes, and they'll be looking at the finances in a very tight way and looking at the equipment they need between both departments. I just want to make sure that we're not shirking our responsibility to make sure maybe we put a little bit of money in there for a reserve unless we feel comfortable with what we got in other reserve funds that we can be flexible with. Trevor?
In 3 years' time, you're gonna have to replace 2 fire vehicles. There is a reason why there is a committee of council for fire that is not being dissolved, because of that fact is gonna have to start being scoped. Delivery time is anywhere from 1 year to 2 years. They're gonna start doing it and ask for funds probably as soon as next year in the budget to build up accordingly. I think you can get away this year without putting funds in, but next year you won't have a large project at Navu. You'll have incremental costs going forward on Churchill will be less. This is the most pricey portion of Churchill right now is what we're doing. So I do think you'll have funds next year whereby you can put in reserves, but I do think going forward, it'd be a smart play to do every year to put money into that reserve for a continuous basis because there's 4 vehicles to replace on a regular basis.
I appreciate that. We do have, we've done very well with our investment with Blue Water Power, as we know, with the, getting towards $700,000 in that reserve fund. Of course, we're taking a little bit out of it now. We also have the Nexera reserve fund as well available to us. So it's not like we're without funds. If we ever decide that we want to incorporate some of those funds into an area like that, we can. We like to keep those in the energy sector if we can. But anyways, I just wanted to ask that question because I know when we started this term of council, we were way behind on some of that stuff because the former council did a lot of bricks and mortar and stuff like that. So we were falling behind. So I just wanted to know where we were at. So if this budget was to pass the way it is, it would be approximately a 4% tax increase. Am I correct, Trevor?
Correct. I think we can comfortably come down to anywhere from 3.8 to 4.2. 4 would be lovely for us, but you've cut out 30,000. That's easy to come down there. We push for 40, which we get down 3.8. You've added back 10,000, but I do think the 10,000 that we added back in, that is above what we have in for grants. We could probably find from within during the course of the year of savings. So I'd be comfortable going down to 4% quite easily.
Deputy Mayor.
Just on the reserves again, I see there's a COVID-19 reserve. What are those funds? Well, what can those funds be used for? Is there limitations on what it can be used for?
They can be used for anything related to COVID expenditures. There was supposed to be a clawback on those. We haven't seen a clawback on it yet. And we had to do a reconciliation presentation. So it'll sit there probably for a couple more years before I say move to general reserves.
Well, it's funny. I saw that one as myself and it's a lot of money. There's 140 some thousand over in front of me in that. And I wondered the same thing. I'm really glad you brought that up, Deputy Mayor, because how long do you keep that money sitting there exactly when we have, like we just talked about fire, right? And that is a lot of money. So is there, is that something we have to do, Trevor? We have to keep that money in that fund, or are we able to take that out of that reserve and put it into, say, a fire reserve or something like that? Just a question.
We can paper it to a fire reserve so long as we know where it comes from. That grant came through the last term of council whereby the whole point of it was every municipality were asked to show your shortfalls anticipated and your costs related to COVID. Our shortfalls in revenue were substantial because we anticipated a lot of lost revenue at the arena and also significant lost revenue at the landfill because they were under restriction also. The landfill came back stronger than anticipated, which is what created that variance for us. Our expenses remained the same. It's just that we had stronger revenues than what we anticipated when we did it.
You, Councilor Morris.
Yeah, I think if we leave it in the COVID account until we know it's not going to be clawed back, then it's a dang nice little chunk of money to flip into the fire account when we're going to need it in 2 or 3 years.
Was it a grant or was that our own money, Trevor?
It was a provincial grant.
Okay. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Councilor Westgate.
One thing I'd still like us to be looking at is buying this building. And a lot of these reserves, I think we have enough in there that we could buy the building and get that over with and done with. I hate paying rent for this place.
Interesting comment today. I reached out to the party who did the last opinion of value on this building. They've referred us to a proper appraiser. The process has started. We can execute our trigger contract on April the 7th. We would expect to be ready to invoice to do so by that time.
Thank you. Councilor Westgate, any follow-up on that?
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Has been something we've been talking about as a council off and on. So Trevor's doing that due diligence right now. Anybody else have any other questions? I've got one. So we've talked different times about a special tax area for the landfill. And I just wonder if any thought has gone into that, because it is obviously a different basket of flowers, if I can put it that way. Maybe Trevor, you don't mind, if you looked at that?
Yes, we've started working on that. We've brought in a couple of experts on it. It's a special levy it's going to be probably all heavy industrial. And then we can bring it on and off based upon who the user will be. We'd rather build it in through a tax levy that way in case you have another large facility here, you have issue. We reached out, John Ennis has helped us and coached us on it. It will probably be a year-long exercise. We hope to have it draft early in late Q2 to come forward. And our purpose of that is between all the heavy industrial users, we will start building reserves from that special levy. We'll go straight into a fire reserve on top of what we're going to put into a fire reserve for vehicles going forward.
I appreciate the reference to fire because quite often our fire folks are up there. These lithium batteries have caused quite an issue on those sites. And I do think, obviously, we do capture our costs through the system, but maybe not all our costs sometimes. So I like the idea of looking at a special area, tax area for that particular piece. So thank you for that. Anybody else have any questions on the budget at all? Okay. So I guess that if there's no other questions, that takes us to a place where we have a couple options. We can pass the budget today at approximately 4%, or at 4%, as the treasurer said. We can bring it back for more discussion and debate. We have a council meeting in 10 days' time that we could bring it back as part of the council meeting. So we have a couple options. If you want to think about it, you want to go over the numbers one more time, we can do that. Or we're also open today and you can pass the budget with a motion today as well, if that's what council wishes. So I'll put that out there for discussion. Anybody? Deputy Mayor?
Personally, I'm pretty comfortable with approving it today, but that's my opinion. But
Could I take that as a motion to put on the floor for discussion?
yes, you can. I will make a motion. We approve the budget at 4% as
Thank you.
presented.
Deputy Mayor, do we have a seconder for the budget at 4%? Councillor Westgate? Very good. Discussion, council. Anybody? Councillor Morris.
Trevor, with this 4% now, how much are we gonna be taking out of reserve for operational?
For operational, it's going to be $209,000.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. We have a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion before I shut the door on this and ask for the vote? Very good. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. The budget is approved at 4%. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time. Some good questions. Thank you, Trevor, and to your staff for working to put this before us. It was a very thorough document. And I know lots of us had opportunities to meet with Trevor and go over this since it was presented in December. So thank you for your hard work, Trevor. And yes, Councillor Manning.
I just have one question for Trevor. When we do get the 2025 numbers, can you present them to us in this folder, just so we have a reference for the continuing year?
I will do it in this folder and I'll also do it in the 2027 budget, both ways. It'll probably be, just so you're aware, our audit is targeted to be completed by the beginning of August. This year it ran till November, and that I have to wait till that process.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Manning. Okay, very good. Is there any new business before the council today? Seeing none? Okay. We're going to go to bylaws then, if we could. Madam Clerk, please.
That bylaw 7 of 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Councillor Morris. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much.
He's rolling.